Do the OTAs really matter? Is it Hyde and Poyer or Poyer and Hyde? Could AJ Epenesa be a key to an improved Bills defense this year? And are the Bucs and Chiefs really talking about going 20-0? That's all coming up on this week's edition of the Buffalo Plus Podcast.
Welcome back to the Buffalo Plus Podcast presented by BuffaloPlus.com. Mike Catalana, Dan Fetes. I am Jenna Cottrell. We're trying to get our way through the offseason, the OTAs, wrapping up the second version of them this week. All right, let's get into it because let's be real. I mean, OTAs, it is June. The team on the field, good attendance for the Bills, not as much throughout the league, but the Bills having a lot of players back in Buffalo. But Mike, do OTAs even matter?
Do they matter? I like what Micah Hyde said. I want to get back to talk ball with the guys. I want to be around them. I think they like some of it. I like the atmosphere now. And a lot of teams have gotten a lot of guys back. I think you've seen some veterans sit out. I think it's okay. You know, guys show up for one, then they don't come to another one. It's like Diggs is there. Like, they don't need to be there as much as they were in the past when it was like voluntary. Do they need it football-wise? No, but I think it's a good check-in with your teammates, check-in with the coaches. Dan, we're just in a spot with this team where there's so much continuity and so many players are back and so many coaches are back. You're almost like, okay, guys, what are we going to do here? But there is work to do, and you spread it out. And then when you get to camp, you sort of, as they like to say, hit the ground running.
Yeah, and I think it's also interesting more this year than maybe 5-6 years ago because of last year there weren't OTAs, and Micah Hyde and a lot of the guys, whether I'm not saying it's an excuse, and we've talked about in previous podcasts, just the fact of like attendance doesn't matter, like it's no big deal. It's no big deal. It's not. It is a nice bonus though to have about 95% of your guys there, and as Deion Dawkins said, like we want to win, like we're here to win, and Jordan Poyer's like we're here to work, and Dawkins adds like we're supposed to be here, so we're here. Again, I liked seeing that, and because the slow start that the Bills had last year, obviously with no preseason, obviously with the pandemic and all those things, you know, Micah Hyde was saying, you know, just kind of was tough to get some of the continuity, even though they've been together for a long time. Like, I think we take for granted the reps, the mental side that you can get to, like Mike's point, where you can hit the ground running once you hit training camp because, you know, as Micah Hyde was saying today, like these are all mental reps. And I think after not having OTAs last year, this OTA is more important than years past.
Yeah, and Jenna, one thing I wanted to add is it also matters why a guy wouldn't be there. Like, yes, it's a big deal in Green Bay because they're all sitting there holding their breath going, yes. Yeah, Aaron Rodgers is not showing up for the mandatory camp, let alone this, right? So it's a different reason. Like, who was Star Latuli's working out at home? Yeah, he'll be in. Right? I think they expect him to be in, or other players. Jerry Hughes wasn't there. Like with some guys, I just, unless it's about a contract or want to be traded or whatever it is, I think they're pretty cool with it. And again, when there's a few guys not there, I do not find it to be a very big deal.
Especially when it is those guys like Jerry Hughes. I mean, Jerry Hughes has been in Buffalo for so long. Like, he knows what's going to go on in an OTA. I did like the point that Micah Hyde said in his interview talking about, like, this team is a team of contenders. So every little bit of experience that they can have together. And like you said, Dan, these are mental reps. Like, there's not hitting, there's not contact, but even just being out on the field together and picking up on that is huge. I think it's almost like before you would start school doing the open house. And it helped you feel a little bit more comfortable. And like, did you want to go? You know what I mean? Where you're like, okay, should I go? Probably. And you go and you're like, all right, I feel a lot better.
Wait a minute, hold on. Well, it's also wait a minute, hold on.
What?
Jenna, when your mom made you go to open house, you were happy about that?
No, when you have a lot of anxiety, you go to the open house.
Well, it was also going back to the point that Deion Dawkins made, because the NFL Players Association pretty much encouraged players not to show up. Mm-hmm. And Deion Dawkins said it's also that respect with the coaching staff and with the front office, and said like they communicated like, listen, we'll show up, like we'll do your OTAs, but like we also want to spend some time with our family. Like we also want to like, hey, can these days, and as Mike said, hey, show up to this one. We'll space this one out. When you can make it, you can make it. Like I said, even Micah Hyde and Jordan Poyer and all these guys that were like, it's awesome to have everybody here. They would always finish those comments not being like, oh, the guys here want to win. that's not a shot at Jerry Hughes. They would always finish their comments by being like, and if you got something going on, don't worry about it. Like,
that's cool
Jerry
too.
Hughes may have a vacation planned. You know, like he's done this enough. And to finishing on Jenna's point, where Micah Hyde goes, we're contenders, we want to show up. That's what makes it easier to show up. I imagine, and it was funny because he did say, he goes, you know those teams that are playoff contenders that are there every year. It's like, oh, so you're telling me that like Jacksonville doesn't have a ton of fun going to OTAs knowing they're going to win like 4 to 5 games this year? It's different. Like even, you know, he kind of laughed and was like, yeah, like we're here because we know we're on to something. Like there's something big that we're about to hit.
Yeah. No, it's very true. And I liked Micah Hyde and the point where he was saying like with Bean and with Sean, there's that trust of like, hey, let's figure out this schedule and make it work for as many players as possible. But you're right. Like the Bills had great attendance. They have had great attendance. Those guys that are not there are usually the veterans that have, you know, reasons or things that have going on, but you know that they'll be able to pick stuff up. But it was funny today too, because we did hear from Micah Hyde and he talked about how, you know, him and Jordan Poyer have played together. This is going to be their 5th season. This is their redshirt senior season together. And Mike, you don't see safety duos like Jordan Poyer and Micah Hyde playing that many years together.
No, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. Some of it is by performance. Some is by injury. Some of it is by contracts and all those things. And we talked before about paying both guys, and they've been able to make that work and keep both guys happy. And you look at the way they came in. I mean, you know, Hyde was a very good player for Green Bay, and he made the choice to come to Buffalo and trusted Sean McDermott. Think about that. Like, right? I mean, you're leaving Green Bay, a playoff team with Aaron Rodgers, and you come to Buffalo. And he did. Jordan Poyer, on the other hand, was a guy who was a 7th-round pick, was injured when he was with Cleveland. Like, he really was a nobody in the league. Yeah. And the two of them came together. It is funny. You know, I asked him today, is it Poyer and Hyde? Is it Hyde and Poyer? And you know, and he was laughed, and he goes, I never really thought about it. But, you know, what did he say? I am Jordan Poyer's #1 fan. And I think, you know, we didn't get a chance to ask that yesterday with Poyer, but I think he'd say the same thing about Micah. And I think they're different personalities, but it meshes. And they care about each other as people. I'm not trying to sing Kumbaya here, but like they do care about each other as people. They care about each other as leaders. They are different people who just work so well together on and off the field. I think it's one of the true, real great teams within the team I've seen with the Bills.
Yeah, no, it's so true. It honestly reminded me, Dan, of like, you know, Micah Hyde is the president of Jordan Poyer's fan club. That type of thing and it's so cool too to see that because
I'm the president of the Jenna Cottrell Hype Club. I don't know if people don't know that. Like as a podcast, we're the Brian Dable Hype Club, but behind the scenes, I'm the Jenna Cottrell Hype Club. I'm the one texting her being like, you're amazing. Like you do so many things. This is like behind the fourth wall or whatever, like breaking down like what goes on inside the
baseball stuff.
Yeah.
I just text Dan that he's annoying. No, I'm kidding. I just tell him that his baby's really cute.
You don't need to make my head any bigger. I'm the one trying to make your head bigger. Yeah,
that is true. But the trust that those two have, I mean, it's just so evident on the field. And Dan, we talk so much about the stability that this team has, but I feel like it really does. It's just so evident, especially in that secondary.
Well, it's huge because a lot of times, and while, you know, Leslie Frazier was asked about it, that, you know, the front 7 and the front 4 are so important to this defense. Mike asked them the question was like, yeah, but you build this defense because you have 2 almost decade-long veterans that have played together for 5 years. And, you know, Micah said he has never played with anybody in his entire life as long as he has played with Jordan Poyer. And then he's like, you know, we haven't missed many games, knock on wood, and all of these things. So it was, again, there are, I don't want to say fake friendships on football teams and stuff like that.
Oh, come on. And there are fake friendships in everything.
I would say temporary.
Yeah, but sometimes it's like, yeah, he's a great guy. And
yeah, that's true. Yeah.
These two are tight. And like I said, and they're different.
They're very different. And I think whether you're talking about relationships and, you know, their social media aspects, like they are very different in those respects. But to hear also Micah compliment Jordan for the husband, the father, the man that he has become.
Yep.
That is where, again, it goes beyond the field. And that is something that Sean McDermott has been trying to do since he got in the building with, the camaraderie that he has instilled at training camp. It's real. It works. I can put my hand up and say I was wrong, because I always remember going, I don't care how good of friends you are. Like, the most talent wins. Like, talented rosters win. And Sean McDermott and Brandon Beane have shown that, like, also if you're a roster that cares and really loves one another off the field, like, that can lead to success on the field. And that's something that we're seeing in the secondary, especially.
It is. And you're right. You have to have talent too. And these guys are both immensely talented. And I love the chip on their shoulder, Jenna, because, they're like, oh yeah, no matter all these rankings, because they never seem to get ranked at or near the top. I think because I wouldn't consider either one of them like big play guys. Like Correct. They're not, there's not a lot of picks for 6 and there's not a lot of, massive hits. They're just there all the time. Mm-hmm. And by the way, you mentioned with Leslie, so that's when I asked him, I'm like, you say it starts up front, and what about these guys in their safety position? And then he said that, and then he said, and you better believe when there's a contract coming up, I go to Brandon Beane and I remind him of these two guys and their special skills. But then there's also the trust on the field of all places, like that safety spot. And they ask him to do different things. And somebody's guarding somebody 40 yards down the field and somebody's going after. They just get a look to each other. And obviously with Trey White back there too, they know what they've got there. So when you're trying to fill that fourth corner spot or you're bringing an extra guy in, man, it sure helps when you've got those two and an all-pro cornerback next to him.
All right, let's get into this too, because AJ Epenesa, coming off a rookie year where he saw some time, but really didn't flash till the end of the season. The Bills, we obviously know, did a lot to bolster that defensive line, both sides of the line. But Dan, what do you make of AJ Epenesa and the talk that we've heard this offseason? Deion Dawkins spoke about it this week of he's put on some weight. He looks better. Like he looks like he's a meaner version of himself. What do you make of that?
Well, I find it pretty telling that the Bills drafted 2 defensive ends, and there's still a whole lot of talk about AJ Epenesa. One, because we didn't get to talk about AJ Epenesa at OTAs last year because there weren't OTAs. Yeah. And that seemed to be a big problem, and I don't think we've thought enough. Well, I think we have, but maybe we've forgotten about, because as the world returns to normal, the fact of like what these rookies went through last year. Like I said, Greg Rousseau gets picked. He's on a plane. He's in Buffalo in 24 hours. He's already working out, and you're at mini camp and rookie camp, and it's like, boom. AJ Epenesa didn't have any of that. And when he was playing at 280 at Iowa, they wanted him to get down to about 260 because they wanted him to be a little leaner. And Brandon Beane said back in January at the end of the season, he was so determined and focused, he lost too much weight and he cut too much and played too light. Mm-hmm. And like I said, I think as much as we will talk about how young Tremaine Edmonds is, AJ Epenesa didn't start. He wasn't active week 1. I think those are things that we'll be able to check off to how many times we can mention throughout this year. Yeah, check. But now I find it very telling that Brandon Beane has said it, Sean McDermott has said it, Leslie Frazier has said it, that they're like, he looks great. Like his body looks different this year than it did last year. And to say that he's playing close to his weight that they want him to play, which is around that 255, 260 range. And like Jenna, to what you said, Deion Dawkins said when he went on a rep with him and he put his hands on him, he goes, he wasn't a feather. He goes, he felt like an NFL player. And I go, that's, Deion keeps it real. And for him to say like he felt different, which was a unique thing to say about another guy. But when you're blocking against him, like he goes against a lot of, defensive ends and to say like he felt like an NFL pass rusher, I think there is big hopes for what AJ turned into at the end of last year. And even though it's Greg Rousseau and it's Boogie and these picks, we need to have – the jury still needs to have a little bit more time because of what Epenesa didn't get last year. That I think, this is, a big year for him, big year for Ed Oliver, big year for Harrison Phillips.
Yeah, I think you're right. By the way, brief aside, Deion's hair is awesome.
Awesome.
Yeah. But the second thing is, it's funny with Epenesa, and please don't anybody think I am comparing anybody to the great Bruce Smith, who is one of the all-time greats and was the number 1 overall pick and is a Hall of Famer. But I just watched the Football Life on Bruce Smith, and he came in as as Steve Tasker described it, as a fat, cocky guy coming into Buffalo, because he was not in shape. And it took him a year to figure out what he needed to do. Now, I'm not saying AJ Epenesa was not in shape. I'm saying is he wasn't in the right shape he needed to be to play. Mm-hmm. And look, if he becomes Bruce Smith, I think this team would be thrilled. But I'm just saying is, we think about all these other things, and I'm gonna guess a lot of guys come in and go, man, I need a little more bulk because of what I'm going to lose during the year. I need a little more speed because of what they're asking me to do. And they've never played anything like this. The college season is a blip compared to what an NFL season is. So I'm encouraged by Epenesa because, like, Jenna picked Rousseau as the number one guy this year. I picked Epenesa the year before. Dan, we're still holding out hope that you'll get one right. So
maybe next year.
Yeah, we're holding. But I think Epenesa also sees, much like the Bills chasing the Chiefs and sees what's behind him, I think Epenesa is to Dan's point. He sees two defensive ends coming in. He better be ready for this year.
I also just think of, like you guys said, like he didn't have an off season. They really, I can't imagine learning a playbook over Zoom and not getting to meet your teammates till later on. And then, he wasn't active, of course, for that first game, but just having the season that he had and being able to take some time to reflect and be like, okay, this is what I need to do. This is how I can succeed. Sometimes you have to be in the fire for you to be afterwards like, okay, this will help me, and all of those things. And like you said, Mike, that pressure, if I were him, I'd be like, all right, I'm feeling it, because let's be real. They made no secret about how they feel about bolstering that line.
Two things. One, they also have made a point to say that Epenesa has spent most of the offseason in Buffalo. I think that's telling. A guy that, again, wasn't able to be in Buffalo last year because of the pandemic. Sean McDermott has said he's pretty much spent the entire time up in Buffalo building that muscle, building his body to that. Two, it really gives you an appreciation to how these athletes put their bodies through. You see it all the time with offensive linemen. Like, their natural body weight isn't 330 pounds. They are eating, and Kyle Williams, like, they are constantly eating and to put the calories into them so they can play at their playing weight. And you see it when O-linemen retire and they lose 75 pounds. You go, well, what did you do? And they're like, nothing. I just didn't eat 6 meals a day. I ate 3 meals like a normal human being. And it's like, oh yeah, you're a normal person.
Jenna,
I was going to say, I was like,
6 meals a day.
Offensive lineman.
Hey, by the way, I wanted to add one thing about that whole rookie year. It doesn't mean it's impossible to not have a great year. I mean, even look at what Gabe Davis did coming out of UCF as a fourth-round pick. But, Jenna, I'm going to use the phrase I like to use. It's a reason, not an excuse. And I do believe that fits for AJ Epenesa. It is a reason that he maybe wasn't as ready to contribute. And just maybe for physical reasons, playbook, whatever it is. But I do think the guy has talent. I think he is a McDermott-type player. And we say that about a lot of guys, but that's why they bring him in. And I think he's going to be important from him. And I think that push from behind is going to help him a lot too, because, they know they've gone out and spent a lot of resources on defensive ends.
Yeah, I completely agree. I also think too, like, for him, sometimes you see players have a great rookie year and then that sophomore slump. I expect the inverse because he kind of really slowly started off. Now he can kind of ramp up knowing what's expected. But, it's going to be a great season. We'll have to see. There's obviously a lot of competition at the position. And what I have been loving this week is the Chiefs and the Bucks talking about going 20-0. I can't hear that enough, Patrick Mahomes. Andy Reid clarified on Thursday saying that, it's never been done before. Which I'm like, yeah.
Thanks, Andy.
I was like, that you're right. It has never been done before. I wonder why. They just added a game and stuff. But Dan, what do you make of that? Because some people are not happy.
I don't want to sound like I'm contradicting myself, because some of this talk this offseason really doesn't mean anything while I'm sitting here complimenting the Bills for saying all the right things. So I know I may sound like a hypocrite and contradicting myself. But I remember, like I said, we're hearing reports out of Miami that Tua looks phenomenal and how great Tua looks. And I remember sitting here and about this time last year, and everybody in New England was talking about how great Jarrett Stidham was. Jarrett Stidham was a leader. He's ready to take over. Everybody believes him. And I laughed. And I said, what do you expect somebody to ask about Tua? they're going to say, guy's lazy. He can't throw a ball to save his life. I mean, you even saw Lamar Jackson throw a wobbly duck, and the Ravens posted it on their social media like, look at this dime. Like, again, some of this stuff doesn't matter. Again, Dawson Knox yesterday at OTAs, hands weren't really that great. I'm not going to tweet about how Dawson Knox's hands aren't, he's juggling balls at OTAs. It is OTAs. We're talking about football in June. So while teams are talking about, wouldn't it be cool to go 20-0 and that's our goal? Fine. I don't really care.
Here's why I care about it. For the team themselves. Do you realize how easy it is for that to go away? I mean, it could happen for the Bucs on the opening game. Now,
That is
it
correct.
could happen to anybody, but what I'm saying is when you say our goal is to win the Super Bowl, well, that should be the Bills' goal this year. They were within a game of the Super Bowl. Like, There's nothing wrong with saying our goal is, win the division, whatever, but it's to win the Super Bowl. Okay. I mean, look at even Tampa Bay last year. They were sort of middling along, and they ended up winning the Super Bowl. But when you say 20-0, like, I'm going to look at it this way. If during the year the team gets to 12-0 and Patrick Mahomes goes, you know what? We're 12-0. Like, we're going to try to win every game. Our goal is to win and go undefeated and win the Super Bowl. Okay. Then it kind of makes more sense. When you say it in the summer, your goal is 20-0.
It reminded me of like Rex Ryan, like we won the off season.
No.
Oh,
No, not at all.
See, to me though, I was just kind of like, why would you say that? Obviously, you want to win every game you play.
I want to know why Dan's going to argue with me on this.
Okay, yeah, Dan, what?
Because what do you expect them to say?
I would expect to say we want to win
14-3.
No.
Are they going to sit here and say, we hope to lose a couple of games?
No, you know what you say?
Every week we hear in Buffalo, our goal is to go 1-0 this week. So if that's the case, the Bills are trying to go 20-0.
You're trying.
What is the difference, guys?
Yeah.
Here's the difference. Because just like I said to you, first of all, all the talk about Tampa and Kansas City, I told you now, I'll say it. I'm going to say it in every podcast we do. Kansas City, maybe. Tampa Bay is not going back to the Super Bowl. They got a bunch of old guys who won, and they have a lot of talent. They aren't going back. I don't care about the division. They're not going back. That's just my 2 cents on them. Second thing about it is, it just so rarely happens, and it's almost to the point where late in this season, seriously, you could be 13-0, and it makes no sense to try to stay undefeated, to make that a priority to stay undefeated. I find it to be odd. It's not even like the 1 year when the Golden State Warriors said their goal was to win the 72 games. Like, yeah, because you could still lose 10 and still get the record, and once you're at a certain point. It's beyond cocky to me to be talking about being undefeated.
I completely agree.
This isn't clickbait. This isn't bulletin board material.
It's not bulletin board. It's just dumb.
Sure. All of this stuff that we hear out of other teams, and I will admit it, when I hear it because I know what's going on in Buffalo, I can say I think they're meaning. I think it means something. But when it's this other team, I just don't care what they're saying in Kansas City. Like, what is it wrong for them to be like, we want to win 3 more Super Bowls in a row? Is that cocky?
No, it's stupid. Because you got to go win one of them.
And hearing that Jarrett Stidham was going to be this great quarterback.
But that's different.
That wasn't from Jarrett Stidham. That wasn't originally from the Patriots. We're talking about we're talking about Patrick Mahomes saying we want to go 20-0.
Yeah, I mean it's
yes, Mike. It is cocky. It is arrogant. It is all of those things.
It's different. Here's why it's different. Was it Wild Goose who said, I want to be what did he say? I want to be a Hall of
Famer.
Obviously, he's just saying, I got high goals.
Yeah.
Nobody is even thinking. Tampa Bay just won the Super Bowl last year. So they are very good. And is it possible? Sure. I guess it's possible for any team. It just doesn't happen. It won't happen. And it seems overly cocky to be predicting or thinking that you're going to go undefeated. Like you're that. I just think hey, fine. It's Tom Brady. It's Patrick Mahomes. Have at it. But I think it was dumb. So you're going to have goals. Your goals are more goals like win the division, win a Super Bowl. It was fine. Look at what did Tampa go last year? What did they lose? 6 games, 5 games, whatever they lost last year? 6 games, maybe?
Yeah, I think they were 10-6.
They won the Super Bowl. Tom Brady also had a season where he went 16-0 and didn't win the Super Bowl.
Yes.
Right. But it's not like their season is like you go into it like, oh, you want to go this year, we want to go 10-7. That's what we're hoping to go for. Of course you're gonna say 20-0. What is the difference?
He didn't say that. He said we want to go 20-0.
Because that sounds better than saying we want to go 15.
But he didn't have to
you don't have to say that. You don't put a number on it.
You don't have to put a number on it. It just annoys me that he put a number on it.
And it's like,
because also I look at that. If I was another guy, I'd be like,
thanks a lot. Yeah.
Josh Allen says that. We're all like,
I would say it's stupid.
No, but Josh Allen, here's the thing. Josh Allen would never say that.
I think it's dumb to say.
I don't think he would say that.
And it really, in the big picture, it really doesn't matter at all.
Are you sipping your tea? Dan's over there.
First of all, Josh Allen.
That's going to be really weird for the podcasters that are just listening while I'm sipping an iced coffee.
Josh Allen is not saying that. He doesn't say anything like that.
No.
We knew him back when he used to say stuff. Now he doesn't say much.
It was fun.
No. All right. We want to hear from everyone below, though. Like, be sure to comment if you're on their YouTube page listening, because I think everyone has an opinion. Some people have an opinion like Dan's. But
I'll get
everyone else, like Mike and I,
the
who
Chiefs aren't going to go 20-0, and of course they're not going to go 20-0. But I'm just not all bent. But because why not?
Oh, because it's dumb. It's like if you hey Dan, do you remember that Phillies team that had Doc Holliday and they had they were loaded. They're Cliff Lee and everybody, and there were people coming out saying they're never going to lose a series all year. They have too good a starting pitching. Like the second series of the year, they lost the series, and that team didn't win. And it was stupid to say that, like not lose a series. It's baseball. There's 160 games. Of course you're going to lose a series. It was outright cocky and stupid, and it sort of set them up, and that team got there but didn't win. So it's dumb. I will say this, Jenna, from now
Shoot for
on,
the stars and hope you land amongst this goes the dumb say.
Yeah.
Shoot for the moon and you'll land amongst the stars.
Yeah, or whatever, you'll crash land. Jenna, I say every podcast from now on is perfect. 1,000% perfect.
Yeah, we got to go.
That should be the goal.
Okay, it obviously is the goal, but we're not going to say it.
Mike just did.
In a satirical way to make fun of you.
Make fun of me, yes. That's it.
It's just, he's just, Patrick Mahomes is just more competitive than everyone else.
Yes, he is.
I saw that. I was like, okay.
He gives 120%.
I rolled so hard.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's.
And by the way, one other quick thing I want to throw in there. Where's Josh Allen's national commercial? I mean, I see he's doing, he's taking over for Tasker for the car dealer. But where is Josh? Josh Allen is big enough now to get one of those spots. I mean, Dak is all over the place.
Yeah.
Baker's all over the place.
Baker's all over the place. Baker's commercials are funny, though.
They are.
Baker's are awesome.
Yeah. Where is Josh Allen's national commercial?
I don't know. Maybe we'll get him from Buffalo Plus.
Two things you hate to admit. Baker's commercials are really good, and Tom Brady is amazing at Twitter.
He really is.
He is good at it.
Yeah, no.
Of course he'd be good at it.
Yeah, he's
on TikTok now too.
No, I don't.
He just did. He said he'd never been more confused in his life.
Did you say he's on Botox? Is that what you said?
He looks younger
TikTok.
than me.
I'm sorry. Yeah, looks like he's 16.
Yeah.
He's Benjamin Button.
Yes.
All right. This was fun.
Yeah.
Leave some comments down below of anything you'd like us to talk about, Bills-wise. Be sure to like, comment, subscribe, all of those things. Honestly, the likes too really help out us in terms of the YouTube algorithm, so that would be really helpful as well. Be sure to listen, all of those things. We really appreciate if you check out all of our content on buffaloplus.com and on our YouTube channel. For now, Dan
20-0, 20-0.
Mike Catalana. I'm Jenna Cottrell. Thanks for listening. We'll catch you next week. 20-0.